Welcome to the Agility in Real Life podcast, Take 5 in Real Life. Now your hosts, Mike Studeman and Jeff Lee.
Hello, and welcome back to the take5IRL podcast. I'm one of your hosts and a partner at agilityIRL, Jeff Lee.
And I'm Mike Studeman, your co-host and another partner at agilityIRL. Jeff, how you doing today?
Well, it was one of those Mondays where you start off thinking shaving's a good idea, and then you realize maybe I would have been better off with a little bit of scruff going today. But I'm going to look past this and move on because I know this is a safe place, Mike. What would you like to talk about today?
That's a great lead in. I want to talk about SAFe. I want to talk about the scaled agile framework. It seems like we can't meet with a client, Jeff. We can't conduct a class without the topic of the scaled agile framework coming up. So I thought we'd use this take5IRL to kind of maybe put our opinions out there on the scaled agile framework. So I'll let you go first, Jeff. When I say scaled agile framework or SAFe, what comes to your mind?
Yeah, well, first off, we also, as kind of the mission of this podcast, we're not just going to opine about SAFe. We're going to try to get some realistic, practical things that you can take with you in your day-to-day life. Well, first of all, scaling. What is scaling? The Scrum framework or Kanban are typically oriented around a single team getting work done. Our large organizations need something more than that. And so there have been a number of different ways that have been introduced to the market to get many teams working together toward a larger goal, the Scaled Agile Framework or SAFe being one of them. So what comes to mind with SAFe is the big picture for me, or it's the first thing I see. If you go out to the Scaled Agile Framework website, you see it. It's huge. It's got all sorts of things on there that, you look at Scrum, it's a tiny, tiny little piece at the bottom. And it really dictates how your organization should work together to make SAFe happen. On its face, it looks a little unagile. I know a lot of people out on LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever are very much saying this thing is not agile. What are your thoughts, Mike? Is SAFe agile?
Yeah, so I think, in the spirit of having, a couple of takeaways here, my first takeaway is going to be the response to your question. Whether SAFe is agile or not is a good conversation for behind 3 feet of mahogany, right? The old local tavern here. I'm less interested in is SAFe agile than in could SAFe provide value to an organization? And in that case, I think it can. I do think it's very complex. I do think it's very heavy. I think it's fair criticism of SAFe and the big picture that you mentioned to say that it seems very, very complicated. However, there are pieces of SAFe that I think are can be very beneficial. I think big room planning, for example, getting all the teams in the room to talk about their plans is a beneficial piece. So to me, it's less about is SAFe agile and what can SAFe do for you. Mm-hmm. Jeff, what are your thoughts on what you like about the framework?
Yeah, well, I think, literally just go click around a little bit. Like go out to the Scaled Agile Framework website. It is a very clickable interface. There's a lot of lean agile concepts that are spelled out. You kind of can read the quick version or the long version and dive into areas that you're interested in learning more about. You can learn about Scrum out there. You can learn about some lean concepts out there. You can learn about portfolio management out there. So, there are some good resources out there. What I would say is, that whole big picture is not for every organization. And in fairness, SAFe does have different layers that you don't need to implement the whole thing if it doesn't apply to you. So see what makes sense. Maybe there's concepts, if you look at what they call full SAFe, which is a smaller part of that big picture, maybe just some parts of that make sense for you, right? Like you're using Scrum and you want to get into big room planning. Well, add in big room planning. You don't need to do all of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, the other thing I would leave our listeners with here is don't take our word for it. As you said earlier, we don't want to be two talking heads on your computer or a couple of voices in your head. Go out and see for yourself. one of the core aspects of the Agile Manifesto is we're uncovering better ways of developing software. Go to Gemba, to use a Japanese term. Go to a SAFe class, talk to people who use it, and do your own analysis, do your own homework to try to figure out your opinion. There's plenty of other Agilists like us that'll give you their opinion on LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. But go form your own opinion. I know you and I have both taken SAFe classes and have learned something from those classes that we bring to bear.
Yeah, and for all the detractors out there, there's a lot of, I guess protractors is the wrong word, but proponents. That's what we're gonna go with.
No, let's go with protractors. It's
been a long time since I used a protractor, but smart people use SAFe and they say, hey, this is great. Find out why.
Absolutely. So to sum up, value in SAFe, but you gotta learn how to use it and find that value. You got to size it right. 2, go and take a class. And I think, Jeff, feel free to disagree here, but I think regardless of whether you want to use SAFe or another scaling framework, make sure you get the fundamentals right before you even venture into that place.
Yeah, great phrase is you can't scale if you can't scrum.
I love it.
Down first.
Yeah, in fact, if you attempt to scale before you are scrumming, you can end up taking it on the chin. Sorry, it was right there. I had to take it.
Wow, no, you did not, but well played. All right, thanks for joining us again. Hope to see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
The product vision for Take5 in real life is to provide members of the Agile community with an idea that they can incorporate into their daily lives to make them more effective. We thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.